expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix, Brother Mike back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. God bless you today and thank you for your time. Today's Bible study, The Troubled Planet. Hey, will you call somebody and tell them radio program's on? This is information that somebody in America has got to hear right now. And you got to make some provisional adjustments in your life. You need to do it quickly. I'll make a couple of announcements if you'll make that call, and thank you for it. So yeah, this is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the House of Healing in Central Phoenix. We are on 11th Street. We're just south of Indian School Road and west of the 51 freeway, a few blocks from the VA hospital downtown. The website, hardcorechristianity.com, has all of our services, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, healing, teaching, and deliverance. You can join our Facebook page and our YouTube teaching channel off the website. You can send us a donation on the PayPal channel. Thank you very much for those. You can sign up for our free seminar in May on Islam. That's going to be a very interesting seminar. I'm going to reveal some things you've never heard about Islam before. It may be my last seminar. Hope not. And by the way, if you want to hear the radio programs, you can hear them 24/7, 365 on soundcloud.com/hardcore-christianity. And on June 4th and 5th, I'll see you at the San Diego Living Watch Church in downtown San Diego for healing, deliverance, and seminar training. May God richly bless you. The Troubled Planet. I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year, maybe 4. I don't know how many it's been over the years. I've been on the radio since 2002. And I've been doing some financial, economic type shows for my brothers and sisters in Christ. And I've been trying to point out that you need to start making some significant and dramatic financial arrangements with your life in terms of reducing your debt, increasing your savings, getting some gold and silver stashed away, getting some cash stashed away. In the event there's a serious issue with the international banking system, which there looks like there's going to be if you listened to that show a couple of months ago. But this thing is happening right before our eyes. Let me ask you something. Just go back to the 1990s. Would you have ever expected me to tell you this? Did you see this financial report that came out in the Wall Street Journal? In an unexpected announcement yesterday, ratings agency Standard & Poor's downgraded oil giant ExxonMobil from its top rating, AAA. This is a big deal. The company's debt has held this top rating since 1930. 86 consecutive years, including the Great Depression. They still stayed a AAA company. You're not going to believe this either. There's only 2 left. Microsoft and Johnson & Johnson. The baby powder folks. Can you believe that? Even the United States government lost their AAA rating. Can you believe that? Microsoft and Johnson & Johnson, of course, are cash-rich companies that have statistically low debt thresholds. That's why they've been able to maintain their ratings. But who would have ever dreamed? Did you know if you went back to the 1980s, there was over 60 companies that had AAA ratings. But by the early 2000s, it dropped to less than 15. Following the 2008 crash, which was a man-made crash, by the way, Wall Street, the crooks on Wall Street caused that thing. Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, General Electric, Pfizer, they lost their AAA ratings. Can you imagine that? Automatic Data Processing System, ADP, was the last one to lose AAA status. That happened in 2014. Here's what happened. Exxon went into debt because the government had reduced the cost of borrowing to nothing in trying to stave off a major depression. and so did all these other countries in the world. Everybody just started printing money like crack addicts, running a printing press at home. Well, Exxon did it too, and they kept paying out dividends to their stockholders. They kept buying back stock. Guess what? It wrecked and destroyed their balance sheet. Oil plunged from over $100 a barrel to about $26 a barrel. That company crashed with debt. $39 billion in debt as of the end of 2015. That had tripled since 2012. In the last 10 years, Exxon spent $212 billion buying back its own stock. They spent $88 billion on cash dividends. Well, that's a good thing if you happen to own that stock, but a bad thing now. But over the same period, over the last 10 years, they earned $242 billion in free cash flow. Free cash flow is the number that they put on their annual reports. That's cash from operations minus capital investments. But in just 10 years, Exxon has added $57 billion in debt to fund its repurchasing of shares. Oh, that's a Rhodes Scholar move, isn't it? The geniuses, the Rhodes Scholars running Exxon, said, hey, you know what? The government's handing out free money. You can't beat that with a stick. Let's just borrow billions. We'll buy our own stock back. That'll keep the stock price up. And then we'll borrow some more money and pay dividends and keep increasing our quarterly dividends and our annual dividends. They got Rhodes Scholars working over there at Exxon. Actually, everybody did it. Everybody's doing it. The government just prints money and gives it to you for free. Since 2009, listen to this, the total global debt has increased by 57, not billion, no, trillion. Governments all around the world, particularly in Europe, spending money like drunken sailors on crack, borrowing everything they possibly could and printing money to pay their bills. The United States is up to $65 trillion. In 2009, it was only $55 trillion. Our debt is up 150 cents since 2000. Thanks to who? The two worst presidents we've ever had, Bush and Obama. Both Bush and Obama spend money like drunken whores at Mardi Gras. Banking giant Citigroup. Did you see the report that came out from them? They warned in a recent article that the top 20 industrialized nations have pension and retiree obligations that exceed $80 trillion. By the way, those future debts are not on current balance sheets. Whenever you read a current balance sheet from countries outlining their debts and their income and their expenses, they don't put on there future obligations for retirees and pensions. United States of America in deep trouble just like the rest. Medicare is now taking a beating that Foreman once heaped on Joe Frazier. Did you know that over 10,000 doctors every single year opt out of serving Medicare patients because the reimbursement payments are so low from the government? A report came out from the Kaiser Family Foundation. It said more than 20% of all U.S. primary care physicians will not accept Medicare patients. These numbers will continue to grow worse as the government can't afford to pay for the entire baby boomer generation's health care costs. That means no matter what you've been promised about health care, actually getting an appointment is going to become harder and harder. The planet's starting to crack up. Here's a country I mentioned to you 2 years ago in a radio show, and I warned you 2 years ago they were going bankrupt, and it's going to trigger a domino effect in South America. Venezuela, the number one oil producer in the world. They don't trade in dollars, do they? They trade in bolivars. Did you know that the bolivar has now crashed and it is literally worth less than a penny? Can you imagine that? $1 in American money is worth less than a penny in Venezuela. The country is crashing as I'm speaking to you right now, economically. To buy $1 American, you've got to have 408 bolivars. Just a month ago, you could get one for 279 bolivars. $1. Can you imagine that? In the inflation rate in Venezuela now, as I'm speaking to you right now, is 68% a year. Giant airline companies from Europe and from the United States won't even fly there anymore. Venezuela owes $11 billion in debt payments in 2016. Guess what they're going to do? Correct. They're going to default. They're going to default. Why is Venezuela in this condition? Well, as I mentioned to you 2 years ago, the country is run by an economic group of keystone cops, certified economic psychos, spend money like maniacs. The entire country survives on oil. And the oil prices, as you well know, in the last year or so have plummeted. And Venezuelans now, check this out, you have to stand in line for hours to get milk, sugar, or flour. You can't even get your basic needs met. McDonald's doesn't even serve fries over there anymore. They serve yucca fries. They can't afford potatoes. They don't have them available. Listen to me, friends. It's starting to happen. The domino effect is going to hit South America. It's going to hit Europe. The banking crisis I've taught you about a couple of months ago is about to hit us. This thing's about to go down. You've got to cut your spending. You've got to start saving money. You've got to reduce your debt. You've got to have some cash on hand. You've got to have some gold and silver hidden away. My brothers and sisters in Christ, listen to me. It's about to hit.
The views expressed on the preceding program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program has been sponsored by Michael W. Smith.